I know you did. Somebody give you one, didn't they? I don't know.
A firefight between the Sherwoods and the VA going to Africa. Now the Africa all know if they hold on, they have been promised reinforcements themselves. But the Germans know that Hitler has reinforced units. He sent in 400 ship and battalion, the 504th Heavy Tank Battalion. Mounting 37 guns, small-handed standard anti-tank and 37mm. Very fast, very reliable, very popular with his crew, but to be honest, already getting a little long in the tooth. It's not going to be capable of facing artillery coming in. It's not going to be capable of facing some of the heavy and medium German tanks. So, especially after the Caucasus at the moment, that still is a significant factor on that field. They don't seem to have anything. I'm not seeing any anti-tank group have abandoned. The pack 38, which has been taken over. They have an anti-tank, pack 36.
Is it the battle with the tank when that went off before he fired? It was, wasn't it?
Well, they got that.
So the balance that they fighting the Italians did there's a war. Heavily armoured, quite slow as infantry tanks, designed with small infantry move forward with the pace of the infantry. Of the Sherwoods are advancing towards the final positions here. I've gone 174. Artillery coming in now. Has utilised the Pack 36. Remember, this position is well within range of British naval guns from firing from the Mediterranean. So, Germans are at a disadvantage here at this point. Here we go, we're closing almost now to almost a bayonet range. They're pinning the Germans down. Hello, we've got one going in fast there, look. Oh, too fast, perhaps. There they go. Again, getting a flank on those Germans. The Americans had a saying, fight them, flank them, find them, fix them, flank them and finish them. It's a fairly standard military tactic. The British here are trying to flank the Germans to force them out of those prepared positions. But they are fierce fighters. They reinforce the DNA, going to African Corps, and that passes again and the battle sweeping back in the opposite direction. The Sherwoods are beginning to fight themselves with the heart of the air. And until now, it's not really remember, ladies and gentlemen, the initial purpose of the tank was to carry your gun safely to the enemy so that you can use it for short range. Are proving their rather fierce reputation. These are hardened fighters. And again, it's become a firefight. But the armour advantage is now resting with the Germans. Now, the Sherwoods are having to withdraw now. This battlefield is swinging backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. It shows you how relatively little is required to tip that balance. As it is, the German army reinforcements have gone up to the top of the ridge before the British. Matilda's withdrawn to safety, the Sherwoods are taking cover. And the German paratroopers, the Fallschirmjäger, are pushing ahead their advantage. Everything is going to hinge now on what comes next. Who's going to get here? Live up to that desire from the Führer. But at the moment, there's not easy calm on the battlefield. And the Sherwoods, the absolute survival spring-loaded. Again, it was spring-loaded with a rocket with a big spring in there, fired the shell, and it was harder to reload, stand up reloading. It was harder to reload than medieval crossbow. So it was a one-shot weapon. That's all they've got. But some of the Sherwoods, showing admirable innovation, have moved up to the Pak 38, which the Germans have been forced to abandon in their first attack. That's a 50mm anti-tank gun. Now, none of these Sherwoods are gunners. They know how to fire a gun, but they're not gunners in the sense of artillerymen. If they can bring that into action, it might be significant. But at the moment, the Tiger is jogging into position, getting closer and closer to the British line. There's really not much they can do about it. Again, we need a gun to fearsome weapon. Based on the Pak 88 anti-aircraft gun, huge velocity, capable of punching through the thicker arm Allied tank. Hello, he's fired. Good heavens. Wish they warned me when they do that. There's a huge difference. The only thing we've got on the battlefield is that 2-pounder on the Matilda, who's very sensibly choosing discretion over valour and is keeping hull down behind the hill there. Although the Tiger is capable of firing high explosive, the real threat to the Sherwoods at the moment is if it closes with them and engages with its machine guns. Artillery coming in. An attempt to try and break up the German attack. Anything other than a direct hit is probably not going to bother the Chinese. Just imagine, ladies and gentlemen, you've probably heard fears of the stories about this Panther 6. Here it is, it's coming towards you now, getting closer, closer, closer to the At its closest, the Tiger was 5 metres away from the Sherwood's front line. 5 metres. That is absolutely terrifying. Now it's taken need to redress the balance again. The loss of that Panzer III was significant, but they still got that Tiger. Still there, that threat looming over the battlefield. The Tiger list. That was, I suspect, some very, very good or very, very lucky beds. It won't be long now, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way the Germans can hold this. The attack. Machine guns sitting up by the look of it. They're not giving up yet.
Very stylised, but I hope it gives you some sort of idea of how armours work and what it is to breathe on the road. Supporting the infantry, flank guarding, you need a bit of speed, not too much armour, and we're going to put a 37mm gun on it. Very similar, they actually copy the gun the Germans are using. And that becomes that Stuart tank. This is the later model, the M5 version. Slight improvements they got in the war, that they do it with. Where tanks shouldn't have gone. So it had a really good rate of fire. And the other great thing about the Churchill, you could do other things with it. So many of here, you recognise that vehicle. That's the basic and the armour protection is upgraded in service, and that's why you get this, all the nerds love it, Ausfront A, Ausfront B, all these different models basically show a different set of changes as they're being built and made. This one, so the Panther 3 starts with a 37mm gun. You hear that? 37mm. Different names. The Americans call us M3. Churchill turned around. Only place in the world that makes tanks in the thousands in the late 1930s. They are running out in the sense that they're getting old, worn out when World War II begins. So they're starting a new program of replacing this tank. And one of the tanks they designed to replace all the fast if you want this car, more distance expected plans. They build this. It's another tank that goes back to the Taking One. Very thick armour on the front. System moving everything's done. This particular one wasn't until quite later, before we had enough spare, we started selling them to Switzerland. That was, again, one of those really important things to remember. If you sell your tank, it means you're making money. They make more money, not just on the tank, but more.
300 years old.